Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today on my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how I made this shaker card using the new How You Bean stamp set with the shaker add-on die set from Fawn's new spring 2017 release. So this set is so cute. I did not, and I regret, I did not get the actual die set for How You Bean. I figured I could make it work with just the shaker because there were so many things that I wanted out of the new release that I kind of had to really pick and choose. So I'm definitely going to be ordering that because I discovered when I made this card that you actually really do need that if you want to cut out the jelly beans that are in the stamp set. So that's on order already. So here I'm just stamping the jar and the little cluster of jelly beans, which that also comes with the other die that I didn't get. So I came up with a way to cut it out anyways, luckily. So, and I stamped here all of the little individual jelly beans, but I ended up not using them because I didn't have that little single die to cut them out. The only one that comes with the shaker add-on is like a set of three. I think it's three jelly beans, and they're like all together, and they won't stamp out. Well, at least I couldn't get it to stamp out. I mean, to cut out the stamped jelly bean. So it's just meant to like cut out extra little pieces of jelly beans. So I've stamped everything, and I'm going to color it using some Copic markers. And I know I've said before I'm not the best Copic colorer because I don't have a ton of colors, which confession, I just ordered like 40 markers today because I found a really good deal on them. So I'll have more and be able to blend more in the future. But for now, I'm just using some bright spring beautiful colors that match the paper from Fawn. That is so cute, and it has just great bright colors on it, and it's perfect for spring and Easter. I mean, really anything, birthdays. So just coloring a little bit of gray on the jar, and then I'm going to cut that part out using the shaker portion, and you'll see how it cuts out. It leaves that little middle part empty so that you can put a piece of acetate in there. So now I'm just going to cut everything out using my Sizzix Big Shot. And first I cut out the shaker part that cuts out the middle. And I don't have a die to cut out the cluster, so I just lined it up using the shaker piece, and I was able to cut out that middle part, which worked out really well. So, and then I'm going to cut out the back that I'm going to need for the shaker piece, and then cut out individual little jelly beans out of the die that comes with the shaker add-on. And then I'm going to use those for the inside of the shaker card, and then also put some on the outside of the card that look like they're kind of falling out of the jar. So here I'm just going to be coloring all of those. I cut those out of Nina Solar White 110-pound cardstock, and I'm just coloring them with the same Copic colors that I use for the jelly beans on the inside of the jar. And I'm just using the little Tim Holtz Tonic Studios craft pick to hold it down. The little pieces are really small, so you want to try and not get your fingerprints on them when you're coloring them. So I just hold it down with the craft pick, and it's a really great tool to have. It's very inexpensive, and I highly recommend it for your crafting. And you can just clean off the tip if it gets dirty, either with like a Clorox wipe or a baby wipe works just fine as well. And I actually color two of the jelly beans black because the person I'm sending it to really loves like black licorice jelly beans. But I ended up not using them because I just didn't think it looked right. So I'll probably end up making a different card to send and coordinate those black jelly bellies somehow. Black jelly beans. I say jelly bellies because I like jelly bellies way more than jelly beans, and I know a lot of people probably think there's not a difference, but there really is. So I always have a tendency every time I've tried recording this to say jelly bellies, so please forgive me if I've let it slip a couple times. So here I decided that my craft foam was not working for me. I just had some in my stash, and I think it probably just wasn't a very good quality of craft foam. So it was just, I was getting frustrated. So I ended up just cutting out the shaker part 6 times out of Nina 110-pound Solar White cardstock, and decided that I would just layer them up to kind of make my own encasement for the shaker card. So this is the front piece, and then I put the acetate on that, and then I'm just going to set that aside and let it dry really good. Put a stamp block on it so that, you know, it's really, really adhered together. And then go ahead and just glue all of the different layers together and make sure they're lined up really well. And you will notice when you cut them out that they have to be a certain way, because if you notice the little notches, like where the jar lid would be, they're actually different on both sides. So lesson learned, and I'd like to pass the tip on that you need to make sure that they're correct. Otherwise, you're gonna have, it's just gonna be staggered and it's gonna look weird. So line them up and then just keep gluing them. I think I did 5 or 6 layers. I can't remember how many I ended up doing, but just, you'll be able to tell when it's enough. You know, I wasn't going to put any sequins in here or anything, so I didn't need it to be too thick. I just needed, you know, a little thickness so that I could put some of those loose jelly beans into the jar when I was ready to put my shaker together. So I put that aside, and well, I will put it aside and let that finish drying once I glue that top layer on. And I had a little bit of glue seep out on the inside, so I did take my craft pick again, which, like I said, it really comes in handy, and I just kind of, you know, took that glue out. So this is how I have my dies and my stamps stored, and I'm going to actually make a video on that too, but here I'm just getting a large stitched rectangle die to cut out my card panel, and I'm using the new Lawn Fawn Perfectly Plaid Rainbow 6x6 paper pack. It's just beautiful. I just love those colors. They're so pretty, and I like that they have the diagonal and also the straight on when they have the stripes. You know, the plaid, it goes both straight and diagonal. So I'm just taking my powder tool and wiping it on the inside, really making sure that if any glue did seep out, that will prevent any of the little shaker pieces from sticking to the edges. And now I'm going to take the stamp set again and use all those cute little faces that come with it. I mean, they are so adorable, and you get a ton of them. So there's one that has a little tongue sticking out. My favorite is the one with the mustache. I mean, they're just adorable. You could do them all the same. I decided to just mix them all up and use as many of them as I could. There's some really tiny ones that fit in those little tiny jelly beans, like for instance that kind of green one that's in the middle that's a lot smaller. There's even a little small face that fits in there. So, and I also stamped it on all of my loose jelly beans so that, of course, they needed faces too. And now I'm just going to start assembling my shaker piece. So I'm going to use, again, some Tombow monoliquid glue. And like I said, it's really great to work with because it does dry fast, but not so fast that you can't move something around if you need to. And you'll see here that that comes in really handy. So I decided I needed to kind of figure out where that was supposed to go. And I just used the top part and kind of figured out where it was, you know, where it was supposed to go. And then went ahead and set it aside and let it dry. So then I decided that I wanted my pieces that I cut out with the grassy borders to have this stitching just like the panel piece has. And so I ran both of those pieces through my Big Shot with the large stitched rectangle die. And I went ahead and adhered the top piece, or the one that's going on the panel, with some score tape. This is 1/4 inch score tape, and that adheres very well and doesn't move. So I really like using that on my card panels when I can, as opposed to any liquid glue. And the top piece that's going to be down there at the bottom, I actually used 2 layers of foam tape for that so that it was popped up a lot so that I could put my shaker sitting down, looking like it was sitting down in the grass. So now I'm just deciding how far down I want my shaker to go before I adhere everything. And I'm using some Tombow Mono Liquid Glue to adhere that shaker piece to the card. And then I'll go ahead and take that strip off of the grassy part and adhere that. And you'll see how it kind of looks like it's down in the grass a little bit. And then the next step is to do the grading. And I like to do like custom gradings with pieces of the stamps that come with the sets. So for this one, I decided that I wanted it to say bean, meaning to say hello. So I took my scripty hello die, and I cut that out of some of the watercolor Wishes 6x6 paper pack that is part of the new release. And I decided I was going to put that in the lower right hand corner of the card, and then put the other part of the greeting on the left side of the card. So here I'm just using my Misty again to stamp this little saying. And what I did was I took the piece that said "How you been" and lined it up where I wanted it on my cardstock, and I'm using Nina Solar White 110-pound cardstock for this, and I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black ink. And I took some post-it tape and put it over the "how you" and then over the question mark. So the only word that I was going to get once I put ink on it was going to be bean. And it stamped a little bit on the question mark, so I just wiped that off with my finger. And I went ahead and put that down over onto the cardstock. And then I'm going to do the same with the other piece after I use my Lawn Fawn stamp chamois. That thing is like the greatest invention. It's so easy to clean your stamps, and it's very affordable, and I definitely recommend it for your crafting. So now I'm just, part of my head, I'm just lining up the other piece. And this I need to also tape off some of the words that are already on there because I don't want them. So I'm just going to reuse some of that post-it tape, and then stamp it again with my VersaFine, and then it will say what I want. So it says bean, meaning to say, and that will line up with the hello that I cut out of the hello die. And so now I'm just using my Fiskars trimmer to cut that out. And I'm going to make a little pennant flag looking point on it, so that I actually wish I kind of didn't do this, but you know, it's okay. We're so critical of ourselves, but most people probably wouldn't even notice. And I decided I wanted that to also have the little stitching on it, so I went ahead and lined that up with my large stitched rectangle die and cut that just on the side so that it had a little bit of the stitching. And some of the ink ended up getting on the flag, and I used a sand eraser, a mono sand eraser, and that just takes the ink right up. It's super easy. And now I'm just using my multimedia mat to adhere the hello to the card. This is great. I have a fine point tip on it, a precision point tip, I think is what it's called. So you can get really into little detailed areas with that. And now I'm just deciding where I want to put all of my little extra jelly beans that I wanted to kind of look like they were jumping out of the jars. And I'm just using some pop-up glue dots to adhere those to my card panel. And I wanted a couple like looking like they were down in the grass. And I didn't mind that their faces were hiding or anything. I just think it looks really cute. And I decided to add a couple more to put under the little saying there, bean, meaning to say. And that pretty much wraps up the panel piece. So now I just need to make my card base. And to do that, I took a piece of Nina Solar White 110-pound cardstock, and I cut it to 5.5 by 8.5. And I'm going to score it at 4.25. And I'm just going to adhere that with some Tombow Mono Liquid Glue. And that pretty much will wrap up my card for today. And I really thank you for joining me. And I hope you'll subscribe if you like this video, and feel free to like, share, or comment. And be sure to go enter the giveaway that I'm doing on my Instagram page. You can find a link below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.